your muscles, your body also becomes a tool for the storytelling.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't know that was gonna be I wasn't training my forearms.
An immortal goddess nymph that I think is very much kind of known in a one-dimensional way. You know, we're not all just one thing or the other, and Calypso is a great example of that. But she was lovely to play.
반갑습니다. 이승국입니다. 이미 전 세계에서 엄청난 흥행을 하고 있는 오디세이의 국내 개봉을 기념하여 감사하게도 한국을 방문한 배우 맷 데이먼 그리고 샤를리즈 테론과 이야기를 나눌 수 있는 기회가 있었습니다. 길게 말할 것 없이 그날의 대화 바로 들어갑니다. 셋, 둘, 하나.
Okay.
Yeah, so this time Genius Kaylee here.
Hi.
Nice
Hello.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, before we start the interview, I just love the movie. I
Oh,
love
great.
both of you. I really sincerely love this.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
I'm
very
doing
much.
interview out of my pure affection for the movie.
Oh, awesome.
Again, my name is Seunguk Lee, Matt Damon, Charlize Theron. It's a great pleasure to meet both of you.
Same here. Thank you.
Like I said just before, I love the movie, by the way. I really sincerely love the movie and the performances did in the movie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It means a lot.
Thanks.
I know this is officially third time for Matt Damon to visit Korea, and Charlize, it's your first time officially coming to Korea with a movie. And I know you've been quite busy in Korea. How are you enjoying your time in Korea?
It's been really nice. We've had a little bit of time for ourselves to go and enjoy the Korean culture and food and get to walk around and spend some time. So it's not just been all work. It's been nice. We've gotten to experience a little bit of Korea.
And Matt, you were also spotted in baseball stadium.
Yeah.
How did you like it?
It was great. I've always wanted to go to a game here, and coincidentally, I have a friend who's a baseball agent who represents a player here who plays for the Heroes, and he said, "Hey, they're playing tonight." So we landed, and I went from the airport, and I went to the game, which was great to watch how the fans cheer in Korea, and it was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, we have our specific way of cheering each players with the
Each
songs.
player has a song,
Yeah.
and each side cheers when their team's at bat, and then they sit down, and then the other side gets up. It's very different from American baseball. I mean, the game's the same, but the experience is really different. It was very cool to see.
I'm glad you're enjoying your time apart from the work you have to do as an actress.
Yeah.
But still, we are having an interview for this massive project by Sir Christopher Nolan, The Odyssey. First of all, let's establish how much of a big deal this project is. Matt, you have won an Oscar for the best screenplay for the movie you starred in and also had written script for with Ben Affleck. And Charlize, you also won the Oscar for the best leading actress for the movie you produced also. So, not as an actor, but as a point of a screenwriter and a movie producer. If you see someone try to make a movie from Homer's Odyssey in 2026 into a single movie, and to make it in a way, in a most analog way, how big is it and how much challenge is it? I want to hear it from your point of view.
That's a great question.
It really is.
Yeah. Because I also, probably a month into shooting, I said to Emma Thomas, we were on set somewhere, I can't remember, and I said, thank God I'm not producing this movie. Because it was so ambitious. And she said something really interesting to me. She laughed and she thought about it and she said, actually, we've made each of these movies before. We were on the water with Dunkirk. We were up a mountain with Batman Begins. She started to go through their filmography and she goes, we've never made them all at once, right? Which is what the Odyssey was. But they really were, they're so experienced in doing these challenging things that there was no one challenge that they weren't prepared for. And I hadn't thought of it in those terms. But from a production standpoint, I can't imagine trying to, even thinking that you could do this.
No, and the thing that was really amazing was I came on towards the end of the shoot, and so to think about all of these challenges that Matt just talked about, and then Emma's like standing on a dune, and her chiffon scarf is like flowing, and she doesn't look stressed out.
No.
She's just everything. I would say with Chris, same with you. It was really insane because I was like, this is a mammoth. The epic. They must just be like, their brains must just be scrambled. Everybody was so focused and they just knew exactly what needed to be done. It was really impressive. Yeah.
And the movie, the final cut, I have seen the movie. Again, I love the movie, and the people around the world is giving just rave reviews about these movies. So when you actually like find something this ambitious, and when you see the audience actually responding to it, how do you feel as actors?
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it really is the ultimate experience. I don't think it's why we do it, but it's a really nice thing to get. It's the cherry on the cake, for
And
sure.
especially at this, like we've been doing this for 30 years each, you know, and so I think we are in a good position to really appreciate it. But I remember finishing the film and feeling so grateful for being one of the people who got a chance to try to do this at this scale, in this way, shooting all on IMAX. And I remember saying, that has to be enough for me. The experience has to be enough for me, because you can never control the outcome, you can never control what people say. I had about a year to make peace with that, and then to have it come out and have people receive it the way they have is really just wonderful.
And I'm pretty sure we love the movie because not just because of the ambition of production, we love it also because the performance we have from you guys.
Thank you.
So I want to ask you about your specific characters. Matt, you play the lead character, Odysseus. Although he uses modern language, he is clearly from ancient Greece. And from the original poem, we can easily learn that he's a king, war hero, the smart guy on the warfield. But at the same time, he's more than capable of making false decisions. So bring this character, this 3,000-year-old character, to the audience of 2026. How did you interpret the character, and what was your focus on portraying him on the screen?
Well, because it was Chris Nolan's adaptation, everything that I needed to know was in his script. And we talked a lot about what it was he wanted and what he needed from me. And 샤를리즈 said before too, as an actor working for him, the answers really are contained in the script. It's pretty clear what he's looking for from you. And so there are many different ways you can interpret this character, and he's been around for 3,000 years, and so there have been many different interpretations. But for what Chris wanted, my marching orders were very clear.
And I loved your version, and we're going to talk about a little bit in depth in the next question. For 샤를리즈, it's not your first time playing an immortal being in a movie, but Calypso still is an interesting figure, because depending on how you look at her from the original poem, at one point she seems really harmful for Odysseus, but from another angle, she doesn't seem like an evil being for Odysseus. So, just like Matt, when you first see Christopher Nolan's text, how did you interpret the character, and what was the focus to bring her for the screen?
Yes, I very much so. She was definitely different in his adoption. I feel like there was something that he wanted to achieve with her that had a bigger plot point than just kind of this one moment in the whole movie. I think he really was setting the story up in a way where it was helping the outcome for Odysseus, but it was also a great moment to, I think, an immortal goddess nymph that I think is very much kind of known in a one-dimensional way, and to kind of explore her in a way in his version in what I thought was a very interesting way to think about goddesses or immortals. There's definitely a groundedness to everything that he wants to do, so he brought that to how he wanted to explore Calypso, and I always respond to those things. I find as an actor, I really love playing characters that I can somehow make them grounded in my own experiences. And I think all of us as people, we're conflicting. You know, we're not all just one thing or the other. And Calypso's a great example of that. She's not all this, she's not all that. She's a little bit of everything, and that makes her like an enigma, someone that you can really kind of ask bigger questions or be more intrigued by or want to know more. But she was lovely to play. She was so different from... I was lucky enough to be a part of something that Chris wanted to create that to me felt just so different from what I knew her as.
Yeah. For many readers, I think they will find Calypso interesting just as much as they find Odysseus in the movie. Let's go a little bit deeper to the characters and your preparation for the characters. Odysseus was amazing, your performance was amazing. But one of the things I was really surprised is that, I guess it's a standard for the actors, but as an audience, your muscles, your body also becomes a tool for the storytelling. At one point, we see some of your body parts. We see your forearm with full of muscle. The shape of the muscle, the moving muscle, really makes a great storytelling tool for you. I'm talking about like when you're shooting the arrows in.
Yeah.
Like, making those like little parts in your body, how do you prepare and calculate what you have to do for the job?
That's funny. I didn't calculate anything about I didn't know that was gonna be. I had no idea how he was gonna shoot the movie, so I didn't know that my forearm would look. I wasn't training my forearms. No, but you know, doing a lot of pull-ups and things like that. It's just kind of a workout, basically.
Yeah. For me, when you did that as an audience, I was like, oh, he's a hero. Like even though he's in that like rugged clothes, he is a king. He's a hero. I could really see that he's a hero of the film.
That's really cool. Well, it was just more, you know, and 샤를리즈 has done this a lot for action movies. There's a lot of physical training that goes into it, and it really just does kind of take over your life. It's like a 24-hour-a-day job. You have to just be really intentional about everything you're eating, when you're sleeping, and all of that kind of stuff, because you don't know which shot is going to be the one that somebody goes, oh, look at your forearm in that shot. I had no idea. So you have to just kind of be ready for everything. It just kind of takes over your life.
And again, you were perfectly ready. It was a great shot.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And Matt just mentioned your career as in some of the movies you did great action scenes. And as an actor, you have led so many movies for so many years, and for many characters, there was always action for those characters you played. So as an audience, it was just interesting to see you in a quiet place, listening to Odysseus without doing no action.
Yeah.
It was just interesting to see it. So I just wanted to ask you, to lead a movie and to appear in a movie from time to time and do what you have to do as a character, is there any difference between preparing the character or scene as an actor?
No, I mean, I feel like it's just one is more time consuming than the other. But I think, for me personally, I mean, actors have different processes, but for me, the process is always the same. The size of the character or how long she is on screen doesn't really dictate a different process. I think we're just, as actors, what we're aiming for is to find something that's truthful, because I think audiences are incredibly smart, and you can't give them something that feels manufactured. I think movies only work when you can really take an audience to a place where they forget that they're watching a character. Our aim is to make you feel like we're putting you in the story and you forget. And I think it's a great observation that you notice this thing on his forearm, because I've always been such a fan of physical storytelling. And I think what the forearm gave you story-wise, you couldn't really write that. You couldn't really prepare for that. You couldn't make that a moment. That's just physical storytelling kind of existing. It's there. And that's why the physical, I think, is so important for us. It's not to mimic, but it's to actually just be in a body that feels truthful to the character that you're trying to be. So I love that you picked up that observation, because I'm like that too. Like, I love watching movies and noticing things that I know the actor really doesn't have full control over, but it's just there, it's living, and it's visual.
Thank you for making my awkward physical related question into a beautiful answer. Since we talk about a physical aspect of the actors, let's talk about a little bit about mentalism that goes into the actors. I saw the movie, I felt it, and Sir Christopher Nolan also admitted it, and Matt Damon also said that this was one of the most challenging things you have done in your career. But the other actors who have worked with you on the set all say this: you were always joyful in the middle of the production, and you were always smiling, and your attitude actually influenced the others positively. I think that tells a lot about the attitude or duty of the leading actor. But as a human being, there must have been days that you didn't feel like it. You have low energy, you have something going in your head. Then when those come as a lead actor, how do you go through a day without influencing the others negatively?
That's a great question, but on this movie was really unique because, and I've said it a lot, it was really hard for everybody. If I was feeling low, if I was feeling tired, I just had to look around at any of these other people who were on this journey with me, and they were working so hard. It sounds kind of corny, but it really gave me a lot of energy to watch everybody else. So I did feel joyful. It wasn't an act. I wasn't trying to make other people think that. I really felt grateful to be there. And the truth about working on this movie, the way we were doing it, because we were the first people who ever tried to do this all on IMAX, and because we were working at this scale with Chris directing, everybody felt that way. And the other actors, all the guys on the boat who played my, Odysseus's crew, they always, in any quiet moment, they'd say, how lucky are we to be here? That feeling was really permeating through the crew. And so even when stuff got hard, we all felt grateful to be there. So I wasn't the only joyful one. There was a lot of that.
Talking about joy, I have to ask a little bit bigger question. I think it's Matt who have said this in other interviews. You made a movie in a way that people would have done it decades ago, about 8 years ago, in analog way. It's challenging and it must have been mentally, physically really challenging. But not just Matt, like you just said, many crew members who are involved in this movie kind of seems like they're really cherishing their memories from this production.
Yeah.
So what are we missing of people of today that make you realize the memory you had on the production was so cherished? What are we missing these days?
I think that there's when everything that you guys are talking about is interesting because there is another layer to when you're saying you're an actor and you're playing this character. There's so much more to Matt than just being the actor playing this role. Matt's a filmmaker. Matt's a writer. Matt's a producer. There's something that's just inherently, he sees things from 30,000 feet in the sky because that's just what you have to do when you make movies. And a lot of actors who, have that passion around our age have done quite a bit of that. So when we get on a movie, I think a lot of our appreciation comes from the fact that we've produced films and that we know how hard it is to make a movie. We're not the kind of actors that go and sit in our trailer and we wait to be called. We're problem solving constantly. We know how hard it is for department heads to do things that you're asking them to do that are near impossible, but they want to do because they want the film to be a success just as much as you. And I think it gives you a real appreciation for how hard it is to make a movie. And that's why Matt is one of the greatest people to be around because he's always coming to work with that filmmaker head. He's not trying to direct the film, but he understands what the job is and what we're all trying to do. And then you sprinkle in a little bit of just a really, really good guy on top of that, and it's a perfect recipe for how you want to make a movie.
They're asking me to ask the last questions. We just talked about the experience and the thing you have shared in the set mentally. Like I said, as a filmmaker, producer, screenwriter, and an actor, you clearly have witnessed that a film can be made in 2026 in this way. So what kind of influence do you think this experience will have in your future careers?
That's a great question. We'll see if more people try to shoot things in a more analog way. By the way, what 샤를리즈 just said is very true of her too, because of the reason she gave, which is as a producer, we know how hard it is to get these things to the screen. I think hopefully studios will be more open to that. If a director wants to try this kind of thing, you have to be responsible. You have to, Chris brought this movie in under budget. He brought this movie in early. They're very practically minded, Chris and Emma, when it comes to these things. And I think they're a great example of a producing team that doesn't overpromise and underdeliver. They do the opposite. That's helpful for all movies that are trying to get made, so that there's a trust between the studio side and the creative side, so that when we say we're going to bring the movie in on this budget, we actually can do it. And maybe that means more movies can be shot this way and on film and in more of an analog way, if it makes sense. I mean, for this film, it really makes sense. It's part of the reason people want to see it, because they know that there are very limited special effects, that it's all been done in camera. I think a thing that's helped it do really well in the theaters.
I totally agree with you. And 샤를리즈, do you have anything to add on to that?
No, I completely agree. It's just always nice when you see that we're creating more opportunity for our stories to be told differently. And when it makes sense, it is nice that now there's an example out there. It's not impossible. Like, we know it's actually possible, and that's always a good feeling. And then you just have to kind of figure out where it can actually fit and work.
I hope that this movie will be a great example for the next generation of filmmakers to come and set a great standard for them to bring a challenge towards. 샤를리즈 Theron, Matt Damon, thank you for your time, thank you for sincere answers, and I hope you have a great day in Korea.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, great questions.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
네, 그렇게 그날의 대화가 마무리되었습니다. 영화 오디세이는 지금 영화관에서 바로 만나보실 수 있으니까요. 궁금하신 분들은 꼭 극장에서 이 영화의 몰입감을 감상해 보시기 바랍니다. 영상이 재밌으셨다면 댓글과 좋아요, 구독으로 표현해 주시는 거 잊지 마시길 바라면서 저는 다음번 다른 영상으로 돌아오도록 하겠습니다. 지금까지 전 천재이승국의 이승국이었습니다. 감사합니다. 바이바이.